Edit mode, I've got the MDI mode. What does MDI stand for? Manual data input. So manual data input. So, and I've got my jog mode. So on this side. Over on this side of that mode dial is all my increments, and it goes by tenth, thousandths, 10 thousandths, 100 thousandths, and 100 thousandths is the most increment that I can do. So, all right. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to put this in jog. So, and when we go to set up a machine, we have to kind of set up our work shift. So right now, to get to my work shift, I'm going to go to the offset setting button. So this is what I see first. These are my offsets. Notice they're labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If to 16 on this, if I page down, I go to 32. Page down, I go to 48, and go back to 1. So I have 48 different offsets. What do you think I'm storing here? What is this part the storage for?
Tools. Tool paths.
Tool, not paths. Tool heights. So these are where my H values are going to be. So we've got, remember we mentioned tool 1, tool 2, and tool 3. So we will store a value that represents the height or the tool length here, there, and I will get that and let you know what those are. So now this machine, ordinarily we would also, as far as the cutter diameter compensation, we would also store a value in the machine on this page with there. For these smaller machines, they're older, our height 1, where we're going to use 1, 2, and 3 for the heights of those tools. And then what we will use height 11, H12, and H13 for the diameter locations of those tools. So when we call up that, so that's the way this machine works. On other machines, you might have a different word address for the actual diameter offset. And when we get to the other machines, or if you take the next class after this one, you'll get more information on that. Now, I want to go to my work shift offset. So here is my work shift soft key. So I'm going to press that. Notice here's my G54 location. I got to go down and I got to clear all those out. But before I do that, I want you guys to write these numbers down.
We need all the numbers?
Yep, so the X, so we're in the G54 right now. The X is 6.1589. My Y is 1.3671. My Z is 3.5754. So this is what the coordinates are currently. So it's always, for me, I find that it's a good idea to kind of reference and write down some of these points before, so kind of know what was there initially. It also helps me, especially if I'm resetting up machines. Sometimes I can go back to those. So
That's 5, 8, 9.
your X, your X is 6.1589. The Y is 1.3671. My Z is 3.5754. Right now, on initial setup of the machine, I need to zero those out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to again arrow down here.
What time for it?
What's that?
I had to finish that last bit.
Okay.
Z.
Your Z is 3.5754. Okay. So I arrowed down to highlight the one that I'm going to zero out. So, and now down here you'll see I'm going to hit 0. So it puts that in, and I will hit the input key. So I change that to 0.
Okay.
Arrow down again. Now I'm going to zero out this Y. So
So you got to highlight it.
0, yep, input. So it's gonna change the value of the highlighted one. So I'm gonna toggle down one more time, hit 0, input. I've now cleared all those out. Let me see how that affects my position.
Did we say anything about where the position of the thing should be in jog or any of that?
I'm in my all positions right here.
Okay.
Notice before we had a machine position, we had different numbers in the relative and different numbers in the absolute. Now they're all the same, because we just changed out the work offset, so now all the same. And again, as I look at this, the center of my spindle is over here, so that means this is a reference point. This is a machine reference point that's put in there by the machine builders. So to know where, and I know that that is someplace over here. How do I know that? Well, if my center of the spindle is here and I'm showing 11.2865 in the X, I'm gonna go a negative, I'm gonna go back 11.2865 negative. This way, my Y is a positive, so I'm gonna go negative in the Y to come back over here. Then my Z is a positive, so I'm gonna go negative down here. So that coordinate, that X, Y, Z coordinate is taken from someplace over here that's referenced. And the Z height is from the table to the face of the spindle right here. Now, my work shift, we're gonna change that coordinate. We're gonna tell it we want to shift that from here to someplace here on our machine. Yes?
You're in MDI right now, correct?
Right now I'm in jog. But I mean, I could, if I'm in NDI here, so it tells me the machine door's open, but if I pull up my position page, I'm still gonna see the MDI. So right now I'm gonna be in jog, because I gotta jog over. I gotta tell the machine where I want it, where I want my work piece to be. So I'm gonna go back into jog, and I can, in the jog I can wrap it, so I'll move my feed rate up to 100. And I will jog over. I'm gonna come to somewhere around the center over my workpiece. And I'm gonna go down. Now I'm gonna jog all the way down to about 1/8 of an inch above it. This is where you wanna be careful, because you don't wanna crash at this point. So I'm about 1/8 of an inch above my workpiece.
And you can do that without a tool in there?
You have to do that on initial setup. You have to do that.
You gotta do it manually.
Huh?
So you have to do that manually.
Yeah, right now we're telling the machine where everything's at.
Okay.
So we have to do this on this machine. This is the way we set up this machine initially. So we gotta tell it where our X0, Y0, Z0 on our part is, our work shift. So
Can we still do it like how you did it on Monday? You used a sheet of paper.
that's what I'm gonna do here. So I'm basically showing you the same thing that I did on Monday. So to go back through it. So I'm gonna come down here and I'll put a piece of paper in. Now, I stopped about 1/8 of an inch above the part as safety. So I'm gonna go to my incremental, and I can do 100 thousandths at a time, but I might crash the machine. So I'm gonna change my incremental to where I'm only gonna move 10 thousandths at the time right now. Now, I can sit here and do this, so watch my position, and I can come down, because you guys can see 10 thousandths of an inch, right? So I'm gonna slowly push that to 10 thousandths. Actually, that part is a little bit up, so we're a little uneven there, so I'll bring that up a little bit more so I'm close. I'll put my workpiece under, so, and then change increments to thousandths, and I come down till it grabs and I feel the paper. So, all right, so now I know a relationship between the machine point here and the top of the spindle. So let me go back into my offset page. So I'm in the work shift here. I'm going to go to the offset set button. Notice this number, so right now write down Z 3.576. Z of 3.576. Z positive 3.576. So that tells me, and we could probably take a measuring tool and we could measure, and we would see that we're 3 inches 576 thousandths above our work table. Now I gotta use that number and put it into the machine. So that number right there, I'm writing it down. I'm going back into my work shift. And I'm going to put that number right there in the Z here. So we'll go.
You gonna put that number you just
I'm gonna put that number, yeah, so in our offset soft key, this number right here, this actual position relative, so is going to go into my work shift for my G54. Now, so, and we will see kind of what happens here. So we're into work shift, so I will toggle down to this. You guys tell me what it was. So, what?
2+.
Was it 2+?
Yeah.
What? 3.5760.
3.5760.
Oh, that's
Zero.
Okay, if you want to go, so this is the number right here. Notice how I can see it. What key do I need to press to get that value into my machine? Input. So as soon as I hit the input key, it puts it in there. All right, now, if I go back to my position page now, so as I go in here, so now that I've got this in, so we can kind of go back to some of these. Now I'm reading 0 in my actual relative position now, because I just put that in. So as I go back into position, notice, so my machine is still at 3.576. My relative Z is 0, my absolute Z is 0, because we've assigned that. So back into jog, I want to get it up away from there, so put that position here in. We're going to get that up and away. Now, I would do the same thing with my X and my Y. So, and I'm going to put my tool in here. So we'll come in. We would do the same thing here with our X and Y. So I'll get this up high enough so I can put my tool in. But now for the X, I'm going to jog over beyond this part. So if I want my X0, Y0 to be at the corner of this, I got to jog beyond that part. So we're going to get there. You guys tell me when I'm past it. Am I past it enough yet?
No.
Okay. All right. Now I'm going to come down just a little bit there, a little bit below it. And now I'm going to kind of go back over. I'm going to kind of do the same thing here to get within 100 thousandths. Then I go back to my increment feed of 10. And now I'm going to kind of come right in here with this. I'm going to get close enough to see it. So when I'm getting fairly close, then I'm going to change my increment to thousandths. And now I'm just kind of using the paper as a feeler.
How thick is paper, Mr. Curry?
You guys tell me. So,
Is it like 1 point something?
what would we measure it with? Micrometer or a caliper. So, and if you measured it, you'd find it's the same, about the same thickness as the human hair.
Yeah.
So how thick is your?
7,000?
Not quite that much. 3 to 4 thousandths.
Three, something like that.
Of an inch thick. All right. So.
You ain't got no hair.
So why would
Don't
you
rub
use,
it.
why would you use that tool? Like, why not one of those other tools? Like, what if you were to put one of those tools?
Because that's a
Doesn't
rougher.
matter the diameter right now does matter, but it doesn't really matter for each of these tools. I could use any of those tools to do that because I got to do something else. I got to take the diameter and the radius into consideration.
Okay.
All right, so right now, so as we take a look at this, so we're going to go back in here. So I'm going to go back to my offset setting page, and notice here. So my work shift right now in the X is still at 0, so I'm still at 0 everywhere around, right? So in the offset setting page here, my X is 5.9519. So write this down. We're just going to make it 5.952. 5.952.
So when you put it into 2, that's basically turning it into 20.
5.952, 5 inches, 952 thousandths instead of 500, or 5 inch, 951 thousandths and 9/10. So it's only a tenth
okay.
difference. So it
We're gonna have to
tenth
do that.
difference for when we're rough setting these machines is gonna make a difference. So it's easier sometimes to read to the thousandths,
Yeah.
3 decimal places as opposed to read to the tenth, which is 4
Oh, 'cause
decimal
it's
places.
and 4.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, and that is telling me that from whatever that machine point was over here to this edge, or to is it the distance from that machine point to this edge, or is it the distance from the machine point to the center of the spindle?
Center of the spindle.
It's the distance from here to the center of the spindle. So if I really want to go over to that, what do I have to do to that number?
You'd have to take the radius of the diameter.
I would have to,
That
and I would
tool.
add the radius of that diameter to move it over to. So I said this was 1 1/4 inch diameter. So how much am I going to add to that number?
Gonna have the number, right?
What's half of 1 1/4?
75.
That's 1 1/2. What's half of 1 1/4?
60.
62.5 something.
Not 62.5, guys. You got it. So, and put the phone away. So you're on the right track. So it's,
Half an inch plus, 8.
think about your decimal. So it's 625 thousandths.
Oh,
So 625 thousandths. Now, if you mental math, if I know I'm 1 1/4, half of 1 is what? 50.5. So, and then half of a quarter is
25.
a quarter is 0.25. So be careful, guys. I'm hearing you saying 50 and 25 when you're really meaning the decimal. So half of a quarter
It's
is
0.25.
a quarter equals 0.25. So half of a quarter is
125.
125 thousandths, or 1/8 of an inch. So now I can take 1/2 plus 1/8 gives me 0.625 or 625 thousandths. So this 5.952, add 625 thousandths to it. So 5.952, add 625 thousandths to it.
Plus that right there.
Okay. Now, in my G54, I'm going to type in this number. So let me go back to that work shift, 5.952. I will toggle down to my X, 5.952 input. So I just put that in. So go to my position page. Notice now I'm at 0 or -1/10 here and there, where I'm at the 9.519. So it kind of is giving that to me. Let me get this up. I'll go back to my jog mode, get it back up and away from the part. Now, let's go back to our position page. What is
6.5.
that 5.952 plus 5/8? How much?
6,577,000.
So I'm going to watch this. I'm going to put that number into there. So I'm going to go over. I will jog by the hundredths. So in our X. So what was it again?
6.577.
6.5.
77 hundredths.
0.5.
77 thousandths.
6.577. Notice here, I'm at 0.625. See the relationship of these numbers? Okay, now, that tells me I should also be, if I've touched off correctly, when I touched off on that, I'm about halfway there. Now, we have a tool to do this more precisely and accurately than I did. Do you guys remember what I said those tools were? We can use probes,
Finder?
we can use an edge finder, we can use what's called a wiggler. So, to kind of get that in and do it. Now, I'm just gonna kind of eyeball the Y for a moment, but we would do the same thing here with the Y to set that up as well. Oops. So, yeah, that's why you gotta watch the,
And not 100%.
alright, so we're gonna say, there is our Y. So I come back into my offset page. So my offset here, the Y is 2.02. So I'm gonna change 2.02 or 2 inch 20 thousandths. So I'll toggle down here to 2 inch 2.020 input for 2 inch 20 thousandths, and I've assigned that there. Am I done and ready to start running?
Nope, you still need to dry run.
I'm not even ready to dry run yet.
Nope.
What other offset? So we just adjusted our work shift offset.
Tool.
Tool
My
item.
tool height.
Yeah.
I also need to now tell it where my tool height is. So I'm gonna come back here. So we're gonna come back over. So I'm gonna come down again to about 100 thousandths. Above it, I will set and change my increments. So I'm gonna again come and now touch off with the tool. So to set my height offset. So and now I go and I'm doing this thousandths at a time. Again, incrementally, you'll get used to it. The more you do this, I'm probably a little too high. Yeah, I'm almost there. You can see 3 to 5 thousandths, so you can kind of use and adjust it to where you need to be to kind of save yourself up. My suggestion is as you're learning